Well, hello again. This is the Naked Englishman video, not the podcast. For those of you that don't know, I run a podcast called thenakedenglishman.co.uk. And if you've come here, the chances are you've come because I told you in the podcast that this is here. There's a very small number of people who know this exists, so you are very special. And in a way, I'm curious to see if this will grow the channel by putting out videos on this channel. I did one last week and doing one this week. And then prior to that, there's like 5 years before, because I ran the Bald Explorer channel and still run the Bald Explorer channel. And I'm indebted, by the way, to Brian. He knows who he is, hopefully. I don't know whether he watches this nonsense. He sent me a link to a woman called Carolyn about the life as a YouTuber. She is somebody who travels in an RV, one of those recreational vehicles, I think it's called, in America. I think it's America or Canada or somewhere, beautiful mountains in the middle of nowhere. And she lives full time and she does a YouTube channel. And the link that he sent me was interesting because it was another YouTuber trying to explain why she needs to justify to her viewers that what she does is work. Because I think a lot of people think that making YouTube videos is not work. And I get that sort of thing. And I think a lot of YouTubers who are trying to make a living by putting their content on to YouTube and then hoping that people will be invested and enjoy it, can't understand why it's work. And she gives a brilliant example, I think, that if a barista, is that the right term? Coffee person who makes a cup of coffee in a cafe. If somebody will make you a cup of coffee and you pay for it, for somebody to make you a cup of coffee, then it's a job and we accept that as a job. If somebody makes you a little bit of content which takes you away from the day-to-day boring, dull, repetitive, normal life, and you're taken away on a few minutes, and they pay you for that service, it's work. And I think that is a very good analogy, because you know, a lot of people do. If you pay for somebody to clean your windows, you could do it yourself, but you pay for somebody else. People pay for people to come in and clean their house, for goodness sake. They could do that themselves, but they choose to do that, pay somebody else. So that then becomes work for that person. And so if somebody is making entertainment, a little diversion from the realities of life to amuse them when they're bored, that's work, and that's what we do. But weirdly, like anything in, and I'm not really going to call this the arts, but that sort of thing, in this sort of thing which you might think is a vocational occupation, and I suppose it's vocational, but if you have a talent for it or a skill for it, I can't see why you wouldn't want to do it. And if there's an outlet to do it and people are prepared to pay you to do it, then it's work, whether it's easy or difficult. She went on to make the case for it can be difficult to make the content, and it can, and other people have no problem making it. It is easy. It doesn't matter. Some people can work really easily and it's almost not work, and they get paid very well for it. I mean, that's life, isn't it? Some people find some things difficult, other people find some things easy. So I don't know that we need to make a case for saying that YouTube is difficult. There are things about YouTube that are difficult. That's very true. But each one is different, and that's what makes it interesting. The question, of course, is that can you do it? Can you? It's an overfilled platform with millions of people wanting to do it and aspirational to do it. And I think one of the things that you need is that tenacity, the stickability, the head down and get on with it, despite all the people, the naysayers and the idiots who write comments to put you off or who are jealous. Oh, hello, there's somebody at the door. I don't normally cut, but I'll have to on this. There you go. That was somebody at the door. Just make sure I don't give my address away. and I can open this parcel at the same time. It's a book, and I think it's one I've ordered, so we may as well open it here on the camera. I recently I've started a vlog on the Bald Explorer channel. You may be aware of this. Oh, here we are. Made in Britain. I'm interested in stuff that's made in England, and I've been trying to buy some various bits of books. I think this is a sort of historical people in Queen Elizabeth I, Queen of England, people who were made in England. This is like famous people who made their careers in England. It's a big hardback and it looks fascinating. Excuse me whilst I have a coffee. This, by the way, if you've not seen this, is a very relaxed chat type channel, which is very much what the podcast is. So the other day, I wanted to do a test, and you may have seen it this week. I'm vlogging. And now I've made walks, vlogging walks, going on a walk and looking at the landscape, heritage and the nature of walks. I did that for 4 years, 4.5 years. I've been doing this for nearly 6 years now. And is it nearly 6 years? 5.5 years, I don't know, on a daily basis. And I'm slowly, you know, it takes a bit of time. I'm slowly working out what works and what doesn't work. Anyway, I started to do different things because I wasn't convinced. I thought I'd hit a plateau with the walks, and really and truly I'd walked all the interesting and local areas, and then it meant getting in the car and going further afield and putting more petrol in, and I was spending more than I was making, which in any business is not a sensible thing. So it was time to sort of change things up, and I've been experimenting with what will work with my passion for the country that I love, England, and still trying to keep within the heritage landscape and nature, but looking at different ways of doing it. And of course I'd bought a van and I wanted to go touring in a van, but then we went through the pandemic, and then we've gone through, now we've got this ridiculous, the war in Ukraine, which seems to be something that the government really wants to support and keep going, rather than settling things. Governments love wars, don't they? Because it means that you, although they're giving money away, is a boost to the economy in some form or other. I don't really understand why war is good for the country, but I guess somewhere along the line contracts are being made to make weapons and things. I don't really understand it. I'm sure people will understand all of that better than me, but it's a con, is what I think, and it's a con at people's lives. But governments don't seem to care about that because it's not their lives and they're so far away from, which is why it seems to me that, you know, governments, countries get involved in other countries' wars. Anyway, that's a political thing. I don't want to get involved in that. The point was that I'm mucking about with my videos and trying to work out what would work best for a future thing. So I'd moved away from vlogging per se, and one of the things I sort of was looking at was that actually those people who perhaps weren't doing, this is going to sound wrong and I haven't really got this quite worded correctly, but people who spent a lot of time editing, or certainly from my case, every time I got really involved and did a lot of research and spent a lot of time filming and editing and making it more televisual, the results weren't as good as if I just turned the camera on and did something simple. And it seems that that's, you know, it's almost a dumbing down, but I don't know that it is actually that. I think if you take away all the production values and you just, like this, just talk about things that matter, perhaps that's what it is, that people are interested in the communication. They want to see, they don't want to see the gloss. They want to see just the reality and take away the production values. Maybe that's what it is, and maybe that's what I'm learning. Anyway, so I started to do vlogging again, and I'm doing a test 30 days in October, although I started 2 days in September, at the end of September, and now I should do it every day in October. And I may continue it. But it's not so much walking and pointing out where, you know, going on a walk and saying, oh, I'm going on a walk from here to there. It's more about talking around a subject. You just happen to be walking. Some days I'll just be, you know, like this on the Naked Englishman, just sitting and chatting. Some days it'll just be that. And that's okay. I don't care. It's that as long as I've got something to say, I think that's all that you need. I think, if people can find what you're interested in, what you're talking about interesting, then they'll stay, and maybe they won't. But the thing that I wanted to mention, which has taken me a long time, as I do with the Naked Englishman, to get to the point, which is something I'm not so good at, is getting to the point too quickly, because I put all these caveats in and I try and think. I'm always thinking maybe somebody's come to this and they don't know what the hell I'm on about, and so you need to sort of give a backstory to it so that when you get to the point, people understand what you're doing. Now, maybe I don't need to do that, and I'll learn whether that's the case or not. So the point I'm trying to get to is, on the vlogs at the moment, I've started now turning the comments off. And you might think that's a bit strange. Why would you turn the comments off? Well, I found, as many YouTubers do, that sometimes the comments can be, well, you're getting unsolicited advice, you're getting unsolicited criticisms, unsolicited poking. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, Richard, I love what you do, and it's all very nice. And that's lovely. It's lovely to get that support and all of that. But really and truly, after a while of getting all that patting you on the back and you going, yeah, I love it and all of that, and I don't mean to be big-headed about that, you sort of get an idea of, okay, I can do this, I can edit this, and I can make this sort of reasonable, okay? I would rather perhaps you just liked it. I don't need to necessarily, and I don't mean this to come over the wrong way, and I'm sure it will, but I don't need to spend an hour reading pretty much the same bit of praise. It's lovely that people praise you, and I'm not knocking that. But if you had to sit down, and you'd get very big-headed very quickly and think you're better than you are. And I don't think I'm terribly good. That's half my problem. And it's lovely to hear the praise. But then you get the unsolicited criticism, and people sometimes don't word what might be praise and might be a good idea. They don't always word it terribly well, and it can come over as criticism or a bad comment. So in the end, I thought, what if I treat this like television? When you watch television, you watch a program, you enjoy the program. That's it. You watch another program. You enjoy that program. What you don't do is you sit there and go, oh, dear producer, I really didn't like the bit when you've talked about such and such, or you had to go and film in there. Or, dear producer, why don't you do it this way? Or why don't you do it that way? And I just thought, you don't do that with television. There'll be a very tiny percentage that might write into the TV station and complain, but it's too much of an effort. The other thing that a friend of mine said that on the vlog that I was doing, he said, actually, I've watched your video and it's interesting because normally I get the video going and then I just scroll down and see what other people are saying. But of course, when the comments are on, I can't scroll down and see what other people are saying. So I actually concentrated on the video more. And I wonder if that's one of the problems with YouTube, with the comments, that people, they become interested in what other people are saying about the video and not actually engaging with the video 100%. And of course, you go to the effort of making the video and putting it up, you want the audience to engage with it. But if there's all these other comments, and actually sometimes you can sort of go, oh, I get what this is about. I don't need to watch it to the end anymore. And also you might get a subconscious idea of what other people think about the comment rather than what you think about the video, not the comment, the video. From the comments, you get this subconscious idea that, oh, a lot of people don't like this, so I don't like it. And I think, I'm not sure that the comments actually are very useful. Now, I know some people say, but it's a community, but it isn't. It isn't really a community, is it? It's occasionally you get threads and people will argue whatever. But it isn't a community in the same way that a forum would be, because it's not really a forum, you're just making observations about the video. Now, if I was actually asking, look, I want to find out some information about this, this is all I know, can anybody help me? Write in the comments what you think or what you know about this. That's different, I'd leave the comments on. So I'm experimenting at the moment by keeping the comments off and seeing how that plays out. Now, some people might get the hump. They might say, well, do you know what? I enjoy the comments so much, I ain't going to watch this if the comments aren't there. Now, for the moment, on the Naked Englishman one, this one, I will leave the comments open because there's barely anybody who watches this. But if it got to the point where I was sort of going, okay, now I'm getting that feeling that people are more reading the comments than watching the video, or there's too much hate. Because it's amazing watching this woman that I was talking about at the beginning of this. It's amazing and it's reassuring to know that most YouTubers have stalkers, they have haters, people who are jealous about the lifestyle. They can't be asked to get off their own fat backsides and do anything, but they want to somehow bring you down. I don't understand the mentality of that. Why people can't go, do you know what, this is a democratic platform, anybody can have a go. Okay, there are certain areas where you can't talk about, and if you do talk about those things, YouTube may get a bit, you know, a bit of a hump and say, actually, we don't want you to talk about that. And that may be a contentious issue in its own self, and there may be other channels that you go to do that, and you may not reach the same audience, etc., etc. I understand that, and it's very frustrating if there's key issues with say the government and politics that you want to argue, and perhaps YouTube is a bit more left-wing than right-wing, and you know, you don't fit into that category and what have you. But in everything else, it may be, but but because it's that democratic environment, anybody can get up and stick a camera on or their phone on and make a channel. But some of them can't be asked, or they've tried and they've failed and they didn't like it, so they want to bring other people down. That's how it comes across to me. And so the haters come out and they'll write stuff. And really and truly, when you put yourself up online, I think you are, you know, you're quite brave. You need to be quite brave and be prepared for all of that. But the other option is you can turn the comments off. You're encouraged not to. I don't really know why. So I'm with the vlog, I'm turning the comments off just to see what happens as an experiment. It might make the channel, and it's my main channel, it might make the channel go downhill. I don't know. But what I have found just on that one video that I did, because people couldn't write comments, they were pressing the like button more. And that was really good. It was good for me, because I think YouTube will engage better, because YouTube can't really work out what comments mean, because people's nuances are all over the place. They might start by saying, I really like your videos, but I think you're an ugly person. And so YouTube will go, well, wait, hang on, it's praising here and it's being negative here. What does that mean? But a definite click on a like button says, well, they wouldn't click on a like button if they didn't like the video. So I would rather people click on the like button, which does tell YouTube that actually they are engaging with that video and it's good, and so YouTube would recommend it to more people. And they'll only click on the like button if they actually like the video. So, you know, it's a win-win situation in my view. So, so there you go. Anyway, I'm not going to keep this too long and bend your ear, but that's really what I was talking about. And I aim to do more of these behind the scenes of a YouTube creator, the story of my life, blah, blah, blah. But if you're interested in the daily podcast, it's nakedenglishman.co.uk. And it's called Naked Englishman. I'll just give you the reason why it's called that is because it's stripped down. There's no music, there's no sweepers, there's no finessing in the podcast. It is like this. It's just, I'm just sitting here chatting, maybe slurping on a cup of tea. I usually do it first thing in the morning, and I just hold a recorder and I make the recording and I just do it. And sometimes it's just a jumbled bunch of thoughts which are completely incoherent and have no sense of anything. And sometimes it has a kernel of truth in there somewhere that I hadn't quite managed to put over in a very easy way, because it's not rehearsed. So it's naked in that way. It's stripped down and raw. An Englishman, because, you know, well, I'm an Englishman and it's from an Englishman's perspective. But not all Englishmen think the same. And that's fantastic, you know. And I often say you can disagree with me. You don't have to. Luckily, with the podcast, there's nowhere to put the comments. So people can disagree. They can shout at their phone. If they're listening to it on the phone, they can shout and do all that. But it's great that they disagree with me, because we should in this world be able to disagree with somebody on various points, but agree in other areas. And we should be able to get on and go, actually, you know, you're a nice bloke, but I disagree with those thoughts. But otherwise, you know, you're a decent human being and you mean well. And hopefully we all mean well at the end of it. Anyway, there we go. I'm going to drink my coffee now and upload this. And I hope you got something out of it. Who knows? And then maybe next week I'll do another of these Naked Englishmen. So we'll see how they go. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Bye-bye. This is where I get up now and turn the camera off. See, it's raw and unsolicited.